For more on this day of remembrance and China's victims, we turn to Peipei Qiu in Poughkeepsie, New York. She is a professor of Chinese and Japanese at Vassar College and the principal author of Chinese Comfort Women, Testimonies from Imperial Japan's Sex Slaves. Thank you so much for joining us, Professor.
Thank you for having me here.
Why is it still so important to mark this anniversary and remember these victims so many years later?
Yes, this is an issue. The comfort woman issue actually involves many fundamentals of human rights. And until today, the comfort woman issue is still debated internationally between the activists and supporters and the politicians in Japan and the right-wing activists in Japan. So the comfort woman's suffering, their profound suffering during the war, has not been properly recognized. However, that scope of victimization in human history must be properly recognized and integrated into our collective memory. Otherwise, we cannot prevent future similar kind of a crime against humanity from happening again.
Professor, we just heard the story about the comfort women in South Korea, which has been somewhat more widely publicized over the years. But of course, this has happened in other countries in the Asian region. Do you think the Chinese victims and other Asian ethnicities are somewhat overlooked?
Well, Chinese women, together with the Korean women, constitute the largest victim groups. However, Chinese women's information was not available. First, after the war, for a long time, they were kept quiet due to the patriarchal ideology in the society and also political situations. And after the Korean and the Japanese comfort woman issue became international attention, in China, the victims and the activists, the researchers also start to do the nationwide investigations. However, that piece of information is not available in English language for a long time. That's one of the reasons I started writing about the Chinese comfort women's experiences, although I'm, by training is a Japanese literature scholar. It's important to let the people outside China to know that a large number of women suffered under the Japanese military comfort woman system.
Professor, we have about 30 seconds left. We know that many of these victims have passed away. There's only a few left. But we know there's been a lawsuit filed by the children of deceased Chinese victims. Without getting into the details, what would it mean to the families if they won, and what message could it send to the world after all these years?
I think the families and their descendants want to keep the comfort women's voices alive and to have their experience properly written into the history. Right now, internationally, many organizations like the Comfort Women Justice Coalition in the United States also supporting these comfort women survivors and their families to have their oral history recorded in different ways and to be told to different countries in the world. That way, the comfort woman's legacy will be continued educating us for generations to come.
All right, Professor Peipei Qiu, thank you so much for joining us. We appreciate your time.